Welcome to CNN 10, where we explain global news in 10 minutes. My name is Stephen Cotton, and I'm happy to be your anchor today. Our coverage starts in the Asian country of Vietnam. More specifically, we will be recapping the media coverage during the Vietnam War. You may be asking yourself, how is the media able to cover a war? Well, media companies sent journalists, photographers, and reporters to Vietnam to keep America up to date on what was happening on the battlefield. This is what made the Vietnam War known as the First TV War. Some of the journalists and correspondents even went to the front lines and were put in the same risks as soldiers were. About 60 journalists were killed in the war. One journalist named Walter Cronkite, who was known as the most trusted man in America, reported for CBS Evening News and delivered his earth-shattering take on the aftermath of the Tet Offensive in 1968.
To say that we are closer to victory today is to believe, in the face of the evidence, the optimists who have been wrong in the past. To suggest we are on the edge of defeat is to yield to unreasonable pessimism. To say that we are mired in stalemate seems the only realistic, if unsatisfactory, conclusion. On the off chance the military and political analysts are right, in the next few months, we must test the enemy's intentions in case this is indeed his last big gasp before negotiations. But it is increasingly clear to this report that the only rational way out then will be to negotiate, not as victims, but as an honorable people who lived up to their pledge to defend democracy and did the best they could. This is Walter Cronkite. Good night.
According to the New York Times, Cronkite's report was significant. It contributed greatly to the shift in public opinion during the war, and even the president at the time, Lyndon B. Johnson, stated, "If I've lost Cronkite, I've lost Middle America," Middle America being the support of the American public.
10-second trivia.
What is the capital of Vietnam and the second largest city in the country? Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, Manila, or Da Nang? Though Vietnam's largest city is Ho Chi Minh City, the nation's capital is Hanoi. Public opinion was shifting towards an anti-war stance, and many protests took place. Even veterans were very unhappy with the way the government handled the war. In April of 1971, American veterans threw ribbons, medals, and other war keepsakes at the steps of the U.S. Capitol building in an anti-war protest. Member of the Vietnam Veterans Against the War and former Navy Lieutenant John Kerry puts into words how veterans feel about the war.
Each day, to facilitate the process by which the United States washes her hands of Vietnam, someone has to give up his life, so that the United States doesn't have to admit something that the entire world already knows, so that we can't say that we've made a mistake. Someone has to die so that President Nixon won't be, and these are his words, the first president to lose a war. And we are asking Americans to think about that. Because how do you ask a man to be the last man to die in Vietnam? How do you ask a man to be the last man to die for a mistake? We are here to ask, and we're here to ask vehemently, where are the leaders of our country? Where is the leadership? We're here to ask, where are McNamara, Barstow, Bundy, Kilpatrick, and so many others? Where are they now that we, the men whom they sent off to war, have returned? These are commanders who have deserted their troops, and there is no more serious crime in the law of war. The Army says they never leave their wounded. The Marines say they never leave even their dead. These men have left all the casualties and retreated behind a pious shield of public rectitude. They've left the real stuff of their reputations bleaching behind them in the sun in this country. And finally, this administration has done us the ultimate dishonor. They have attempted to disown us and the sacrifices we made for this country. In their blindness and fear, they have tried to deny that we are veterans or that we served in Nam. We do not need their testimony. Our own scars and stumps of limbs are witness enough for others, and for ourselves, we wish that a merciful God could wipe away our own memories of that service, as easily as this administration has wiped their memories of us. But all that they have done, and all that they can do by this denial, is to make more clear than ever our own determination to undertake one last mission, to search out and destroy the last vestige of this barbaric war, to pacify our own hearts, to conquer the hate and fear that have driven this country these last 10 years and more. And more. And so when 30 years from now our brothers go down the street without a leg, without an arm or a face, and small boys ask why, we will be able to say Vietnam, and not mean a desert, not a filthy, obscene memory, but mean instead the place where America finally turned, and where soldiers like us helped it in the turning. Thank you.
For 10 out of 10, we will be looking at how the Vietnam War was different from any other previous war, more specifically on how the introduction of the television gave the people of America access to this event. Never before were pictures or videos of combat released to the public, but in the new era of television, this was broadcasted with little censorship to America's home front, all available in your living room. President Lyndon B. Johnson was fixated on how the major broadcasting companies portrayed the war, as he wanted to keep support and morale high, partly so he wouldn't be the first president to lose a war. President LBJ was surely trying not to be framed as if he was losing a war, and the American people couldn't just focus with all the contrast of opinions out there. I know it's hard to picture a real war being broadcasted, but let that develop for a few seconds, and it may not be as black and white as you think. I'm Stephen Cotton. We look forward to seeing you Friday when CNN 10 resumes its objective coverage of world events.